it's one of those things, like, there's a bunch of different topics in my mind that I struggle with. And I mentioned this before. I've got these topics in my mind that I still haven't worked out. At 36 years of age, I still don't know where I stand. Some of the stuff is like euthanasia. Euthanasia is one of those things that I don't really know what to think. I understand both sides of the argument, but it still kind of feels off for whatever reason. I just struggle with accepting it, even though I definitely see that there are uses for it. Capital punishment is another thing. I struggle with authorizing a government to take lives. I struggle with the morality and the ethics of that. And the other thing is abortion. I struggle with that thought as well. Obviously, fully understand that there are circumstances where abortion is absolutely required. Being in the medical field, like, I know circumstances, I know ideas, I know stories, I know cases where this stuff is definitely needed. But I still struggle with the ethics and morality of it. And where do you draw the line? Is it at 20 weeks? Is it at 16 weeks? Is it at 24 weeks? And then the whole question of, like, when does life start? When does the fetus become a living thing? When does... And, I've heard a lot of philosophical discussions, a lot of medical discussions about that. Some people believe when they take the first breath, that's when the life starts. Some people think when the heart rate starts, that's when the life starts. Some people think it's even earlier. And so then, like, right here, I think in South Australia, you can abort up to 20 weeks. I think in some circumstances, it can be even later. And, I've worked with some midwives at the hospital, and they've been part of some of these procedures of abortions, surgical abortions. And that is, like, if you heard about some of these stories, man, like literally arms and legs coming out, like formed babies coming out, all cut up. And heavy topics, and people can sit there and disagree and argue and go back and forth, but to be the legislation makers, the bill makers, and all of this stuff, it is very hard. It is very hard to make some of these decisions and not screw somebody over. There's a lot of cases of, like, rape and all that stuff that goes on, and a lot of people find themselves in awful conditions. And so to say, no, abortion is not right, that ain't freaking right either. But then I've also had, I've also met people like prostitutes of the street who have had like 15 abortions. What the fuck is that? What is that? Now, is that abuse? Is that, like, what are we doing here, man? Like, what are we doing here? And so obviously there's two sides of the spectrum, but I struggle with those ideas as well. Somebody murders somebody, is the state then okay to murder him? You've murdered somebody, you're a piece of shit. Like, what the fuck? You've killed somebody. We're gonna kill you. Is that fighting evil with evil? I struggle with that. I struggle with many different things, and a lot of times, like, I make my opinions known. I'm not coming to you as this freaking omni-power of this philosophical, like, I've worked everything out in life. I haven't. I have thoughts like everyone else, but, like, these are some of the biggest struggling topics that I have in my mind, and I don't really know freaking what to think anymore. And I've wrestled with it oftentimes when I can't sleep in bed. I sit there and I stare at you guys know me, man. Like, I think about philosophy. I'm not the most well-equipped, freaking well-read individual, but, like, you sit there and you wonder about things and you go, shit, if I had the power, like, if I was a dictator of a country, what would I say to people to do? What would I say my government to do? Like, what would I say my people? Okay, this is what we're going to do. No abortions. What? That shit ain't right. How can you say that? Euthanasia. Somebody dying a painful death from cancer, and you say no to them, not to ease that pain and suffering. I don't know, man.